So I've been to 8 schools in 5 countries and 3 continents by the age of 14. Movement gives you certain powers of innovation and creativity, and how it makes you think not in terms of conventions and the status quo, where business as usual no longer applies. It's like my Christmas lights. It's not only that my office is lighted up, Women's Studies has been lighted up, Jodie's office has been lighted up, Yuko's office has been lighted up. That somehow you influence things you think have a sort of right to go and talk to somebody, because that's the only way, or do something for someone to make friends, because that's the only way you learn how to make friends, because you start from scratch. Salman Rushdie says that once you've moved, even when you travel, students who've been on study abroad, when they come back, they are different people. As he says, you've been translated, and you have been translated. But beyond that, I think you have skills of being able to get on in systems without having a support network. So that is what I capture in how culture is reproduced and how mindsets are created, and I think that if you have a migrant mindset, that your powers of innovation are deeper, greater, you're much more innovative, and that is manifested by people who are products of movement. Jeff Bezos of Amazon.com, Cuban father, Sergey Brin, 2 Russian mathematician parents, Carlos Slim, the richest man in the world, Lebanese Maronite Christian, so sometime Lebanon to Mexico. Steve Jobs is a Syrian father, Armenian mother, and so the list goes on. Movement definitely does something to you. My mother was maybe 20 when she was married. This is in India, and then she moves to Kenya. It was the last ship that came through in the Second World War, and so these girls were sent abroad, and they didn't have family around. There were no phones. You wrote a letter maybe once in 3 months, so you're absolutely on your own, and you have to be tough. And you go into these extended families, and these are not easy families to be in, and you don't have any support networks. You don't have an aunt, you don't have an uncle, you can't talk to them. They are very tough. My mother is everywhere. She's all over. She's on not here, at home. She's very significant in my life, because my father died when I was 21, which is, I was an adult. But she has been the more powerful figure in my life. My memory of her is my mother actually taught me to speak English when she could hardly speak English. And I had very long hair, it was right to the ground. So mothers, and we keep long hair, boys and girls, the same, you don't cut your hair. So mothers have a lot of control over, because till about good age, till about 12, 14, you need help to manage it. So she used to do we call them plaits, what do you call them, braids. And she used to teach me my prayers in Punjabi. And she was also tough, you sort of had to get on. I remember when I first moved to the US, I got a fellowship at UCLA. And it was so hard, because I moved into a country where I had friends, but one was in Berkeley, somebody was in Washington. Those were my 2 friends. And so I came into an apartment which is completely empty and not knowing anyone. And she told me, I called her, and I think I was obviously, upset. I wasn't crying, but I was, this was very hard. And she told me I had to get on with it, that I could not come home. we're always projected as having problems with our parents and our culture, and we are between two cultures, and we are being forced to have arranged marriages, and our parents didn't understand us. So that was a fight, because our parents were very loving towards us. Your generation is coming of age in a global era, and I think that there is much more connection, curiosity, but in that particular group, where they were not used to having any immigrant kid in their class, there was no curiosity, there was no interest, there was sort of a certain amount of patronizing sort of way of dealing with you. You know, you can be educated here and you can go back to your country. But there was no notion that some of us immigrants are not going back to countries types because we are not from a country. You know, we are where we are. I think I have a sense of myself wherever I am, and that's not going to be shaken by what the expectations of a certain convention are. That is, if you play somebody else's game, they're always going to be better at it, because after all, it is their game, it is not yours. You stick to your own terms, and therefore you can't be broken very easily. It's very easy to break you if I've given you a value set, which is mine, and I already feel superior. You're living on my terms. So my stuff is not from India. Of course, it's part of, it's where I've traveled to. That red thing is from my trip to Macau and Hong Kong. And those hanging toys are from Krakow in Poland. And those golden things are my nephew's wedding. These are the garlands you use for exchange. And those long things are hair ornaments, which I got, you know, when I had long hair, they went with the clothes and the colors. And now my bone china is, of course, because I'm British and I'm into tea. I loved it. You know, in my undergraduate days, I missed one day of classes in the entire 3 years. It was like, I tell my class, it was being given like being in supersonic jet fuel, you know. And anthropology was wonderful at that time because it was about all these other cultures, and we come from a very English setting. It's very interesting to have that background. So that was one of my really happy moments when I got to university. I don't know what the other happy moments were. Being with my mother, yeah, was very happy always. I spoke to her twice a day. Yeah. Once in the morning, once before she was supposed to go to bed. I adored her. Yeah, this is why her presence is so powerful. But these were given to me by my mother, and I love them. I got these when I got my full professorship. She gave me, I got those. She used to have them when she died. So I carry her on my person. It's this notion of illocutionary love. It is love that's not verbally expressed, but it's deeply felt.